All right, so let's take this from here, and we're going to go deeper in this negotiating. Let's go to out and out sin, where we will go with Samson. Now, Samson committed adultery. Samson committed fornication, was very sensual. Samson actually went directly against God's orders as revealing his secret. Now, when he revealed his secret to Delilah, uh, ordinarily we would think God could say, well, you got yourself into this, you completely disobeyed, then that's it, you die. However, he had one last request. In that request, he was negotiating, and here's how he was negotiating. Father, I want you to ask you one last thing. Would you avenge me for my eyes? Would you allow me to get even for what they did to my eyes? They gouged out his eyes, as you know the story. And he pulled the pillars down, and the entire government buildings with 3,000 lords and ladies, which equals our Congress, our vice president, our president, Speaker of the House, Senate, the whole conglomeration came down. Now, it says he killed more in his death than he killed in all of his life put together. Who's going to run the armies? Who's going to run the Navy? No one, because there's no one left. The government has been removed in one easy sweep, because God answered a prayer, and he negotiated with Samson. And he said, all right, now jump over to another one. David, a man after God's own heart. Everybody likes to jump on that, and then they like to jump on the other, depending on which side you're coming from. And the fact that David committed adultery, David committed murder, David lied, David did all these things. Nathan comes to David, the prophet, and Nathan had already seen the negotiation that had went on in God's heart. Why? Because there was a thing in David's heart that's so locked in with God's heart that he said, I've already negotiated in the spirit. I haven't negotiated with David, because David didn't know about this. David immediately revealed, without knowing it, revealed what it was that made God so locked into his heart. His quickness to repent. That was it. He didn't run, he didn't make excuse, he didn't lie, he didn't cheat. All he did was say, it was me. Before he could even get the words out of his mouth, Nathan said, God has already negotiated and put your sin away. You don't even have to say anything. It's been forgiven. Now that is top negotiation. Now let's take it into other negotiations. Abraham. He negotiated with Abraham. And in the fact that there was so many areas of Abraham's life that Abraham was scared, tried to get out, but he kept negotiating with Abraham that I am going to make your seed, okay, like the sands of the sea. And Abraham, because of his great faith in God, that he moved out to a land where he didn't know where he was going, but he just went out by the words of the Lord, followed him. That was enough to have the Lord negotiate with Abraham to the place of saying, he's my friend. Do not go against Abraham, because Abraham is from now on considered a friend of God. And we could go all the way down and say, well, what about the New Testament? What about Paul? Paul negotiated. Whether you know it or not, Paul negotiated with God in the fact that he said he had finished his job. Basically, he had everything done on this earth that he was supposed to do. All the Bible was written, the New Testament, the things that he was supposed to put out. And he said, I'm ready to go. However, I'm looking at a bunch of people that are not ready. And it's better that I stay and teach and build and pour into you and into these people than for me to go right now. So I'm going to stay longer. So he even negotiated his own death with the Lord of when he was going to go. And Father allowed him to stay. Now, here is one exact negotiation dealing with where I'm at pretty much. And some of you may be at right now. Here it is. Hezekiah. I'll call it the Hezekiah syndrome. Isaiah comes to Hezekiah and says, you're about to die. God, your number is up. All right? It is appointed a man once to die in Hebrews 9:27, I believe it is. But after that, the judgment. So his appointment time had come. He didn't want to go yet. he really wanted to live longer. So he turns his face to the wall. Isaiah walks out and he starts to weep before the Lord. And in that weeping, God heard him and negotiated another 15 years of life. Now, how did he negotiate? Well, let's look at his life. The one big thing with him, there was no sin involved. Now, it said he was a good king. He obeyed and he carried out the laws of the Lord throughout the land. That's all it says. He was a good man. Because he was a good man, Father was willing to negotiate another 15 years. I'm putting myself in an area, if this is the way you are, Lord, and you really want me to negotiate, that's what I'm telling you. I don't see anything else in here. I got more too. Now, if he wants me to negotiate, I am willing to negotiate. I would love to negotiate 5 more years. I don't need 15 years. But I can see 15 years or 5 more years to carry out the things he keeps putting on my plate. Now, in the video a little farther on here, you're going to see some of the mandates he's given me, and he's given me some more last night, 2 nights ago. He gave me more. I don't know how to handle this. You got to suss this out, all right? Help me. And we're going to see in just a minute here how he's going to negotiate more. All right? There's a big blank spot in here. And he's saying, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want, okay? That's where we're at right now.